I'd like to welcome Jimmy Grago back to the Kegel Training Center as he works to prepare for an upcoming regional March 13th and then the U.S. Open a little bit later in the month. We've been working hard over the last 3 days, and I just, as a starting point to the video, I want to bring up when you first came in here in November versus now. So let's just run this through. This is where you were when you first came in November. And then this was the shot we just took a second ago when you were still doing the drills. So if we look at that swing, this was the drill where you're working with your footwork, step, step over step, step over slide. Just a little bit straighter, and we'll see much from November, looking at where you came from in the beginning. So, just a little different. I think that's just a very, very telling. The ball location is very, very telling to how far you've come and developed your game, and we've developed a set of drills to work on in practice during your practice sessions that I think will help you tremendously. And we did the 3-step drill and footwork, step, step over step, step over slide, backup drill, knee forward drill, and this will help you tremendously move forward. We also talked about getting the ball hinging it to the inside and then ball in the upswing to the outside to help swing, and we're getting there. So I'm just going to review the pieces when you came in this time, what we looked at and where we're working, and I wanted you to see that difference to start because that's why you came here and that's why you're getting better. Number one, that swing direction is so much straighter. And when you look at it this way, it's extremely telling. So we're going to bring up some of the videos from this time when you first came in and just look at what pieces we identified and what we're working on, just as a reminder, so that you have that as a reference point. So here was the front view, and we're going to go with some of the side views here. So first and foremost, we were looking at the direction of the ball. You got into a little bit of the old habit of bringing the ball to the outside. You can see here in this direction where it went. So it started to, and you had mentioned that you had felt that happening. So you can see the difference there. The tendency was to get back in that direction. So the number one thing we started with was really thinking about hinging inside. We also talked about in practice session as well as thinking about to the outside. When you're working on just in competition, that's something you can control by focusing on moving to the inside with the ball. And you said this morning that it's becoming more and more comfortable and more natural to do. So your body is seeing and feeling that straighter alignment. That was the number one thing we looked at first. In addition, we looked at timing. As you can see here, that ball doesn't get down, really intersects as the third comes in. You're going to be late at the top, and the ball's not going to descend until in this range. So what we wanted to work on was getting that ball to get the ball down at the side when that second foot compresses. So that we want the ball at the side or close to it at that point. So the hinge direction and getting the hinge started sooner was a priority to get better timing. We'd use the 3-step drill to get a better hinge, because you can see yourself carry that ball a little bit and delay that ball into. So you can also see on the top there is a delay and a hold at the top of the swing. So the first piece that we addressed was hinge direction, and also when the hinge was engaged. And it's gotten lighter and more relaxed each day, and you've got less and less body movement because of it. More importantly, you've got a better footwork sequence in regard to timing at when it's initiated, timing at the top, and timing into the foul line. All were significantly better. So those were two big things: hinge direction and when the hinge was initiated. We also looked at the footwork, because we can see here this move in this direction. So if we bring this up in this perspective, I want to bring up a player to show and remind. I want you to look at this footwork and just remember, this is one of the drills that we did to start off in the morning, one of the practice drills that I recommend strongly during a practice session. We've got some cycles that we developed to help support what you're doing. Step, step over, step over, slide. Step, step over, step over, slide. Clears the space to keep, remember the whole ultimate goal is to keep the ball swinging under your eye, under your head, as long as possible. And we can see in this particular case how that's allowed to happen. That body clears out of the way. So we worked on footwork to make sure we get that pivot step, and as you can see, one of the things that really worked when you focused on it and do in practice, that your footwork is significantly better, far less pivot. So you see this transition has a far less pivot point. Your lower body is going in the direction of the target line, whereas before that had caused you to really pivot significantly. So you watch here this massive pivot. So you can see the footwork, step, step over, big drift to the right, pivot back to the target line. So what we're trying to do is clean this up right there. The 1, 2 are good, then the 3, 4 are what we're trying to clean up. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's move that over just so you can see it a little bit better. So those 3, 4 steps here, you can see that big drift to the right, then a pivot back to the left. Big drift, big pivot. And now when you're working and practicing with that footwork sequence, step, that's the step over second step, far less drift. You can see the difference there relative to your foot. So that when you're working it and focusing on it, you can see, look at the difference there in your body position. You can see that now when you're working it, you have far more balance and leverage coming into the next step, which you see is far less pivot than this. You can see the angle of your lower body. So the footwork sequence is going to redefine your footwork and make it significantly better. More importantly, that's going to put your head, all of these little pieces are putting your head in a better position, because we can see on the right how much movement you had. So if we look at that again, how much movement you had coming into the slide versus this. It's a quieter motion, and it will get better and better and better as you do these drills every day when you practice during the practice sessions. So In addition, the fourth piece we were looking at is that, for you, the right shoulder. You can see that right shoulder rotate, over-rotate back, and the hand wants to follow. So we worked on, one of the drills was just getting your elbow bent and in front. And you can see even you're not focusing on it, it's redefining your right shoulder. You see how much movement there is there. There's a quieter movement on the top, and it's staying in front better. That's helping with leverage on the bottom. The next piece that we talked about was getting the knee to come forward. And you can see there that, watch that knee continue forward and you stay in balance. One of the biggest things you told me is when you bowled the Earl Anthony Open that you fell off about 50% of the time. We're at a rate of approximately 95% of the time now, maybe even higher, that we've isolated some of the key things, and because of that you're able to see ball motion better and, more importantly, not fall off shots. So anytime you fall off a shot, you're obviously losing leverage into the ball. So now you're able to see ball motion better and, most importantly, be able to confidently throw a shot. If you're falling off 50% of the time, you're going to question what's happening. You're going to wonder what's going to happen next in the back of your mind. Now you've got confidence. You can see you're throwing the ball with far more confidence than when you walked in the building. I mean, triple, I don't know, what do you think?
Probably at least double.
Yeah, at least double. I mean, you can see it. There's a flow to your game. It's so much better. We also work the backup drill, because what we're trying to do is, as you can see here, come in. We don't want that elbow to come out. Now you realign it back, but we're trying to train the body to keep the elbow coming inward. And you can see, as a reminder, we'll see the difference here from the front view, just as a reminder of, make them left-handed. Just get that elbow coming inward. So here you see that elbow come inward and through the face there. We'll see that with Chris Barnes as well. Watch the elbow. We'll make Chris Barnes left-handed. See that elbow come inward. Now you can see here, from there, it goes with your upper body, which will reduce the torso rotation. You've got great torso rotation because of the placement of the arm. We haven't had to work with that ever. You've got that out in front. What we got to try to do is keep this relaxed here to here. And that whole elbow in is critically important. And as you can see, elbow goes out, then back in, then back out. So that's going to take some time, and you'll see it as you do that backup drill over time, over time, over time. It's going to get better and better and better. So these were the big major things we took and tried to diagnose, and we've just seen a much improved flow to your game. So just as a reminder to recap all of the things, we just want to see these things get ironed out better and better and better, smoother and smoother and smoother, so that ideally it's quieter. You've got a quieter game and a smoother game. We've got your ball speed down, your backswing's lower because it's much more relaxed, footwork smoother, just an overall quieter game. So we're going to take some cats and just see the drill sequence again. It worked yesterday to really, we made a lot of progress on day one, tremendous amount of progress on day one, and yesterday solidified that more. And just from what I've been watching this morning already, it's better.